When people around the world picture Canada, the images are almost magical. Clean, safe cities, free healthcare, stunning landscapes, a reputation for diversity, opportunity, and one of the highest qualities of life on the planet. For millions, moving to Canada is more than a dream. It's the ultimate life upgrade. But here's the twist. Not everyone who makes that move finds the happiness they were expecting. In fact, many foreigners who settle in Canada eventually admit to having serious regrets. Why? Because the glossy picture painted from the outside doesn't always match the reality on the ground. Yes, Canada is welcoming and full of potential, but life here comes with challenges that outsiders rarely see until they've already uprooted their lives. The job market isn't always easy to crack, especially for highly skilled newcomers told they lack Canadian experience. The cost of living, especially housing in cities like Toronto and Vancouver, can feel overwhelming. The winters? Brutal, not just cold, but isolating. And then there's the hidden emotional toll: loneliness, culture shock, and the quiet struggle of trying to rebuild a sense of belonging, thousands of miles away from home. In this video, we're peeling back the curtain. On the other side of the Canadian dream, we'll explore the stories and regrets many immigrants share, from jobs and finances to weather, community, and culture. But this isn't just about complaints. It's about lessons learned. What do these struggles teach us about immigration, resilience, and adjusting expectations? And most importantly, if you're thinking about moving to Canada, what should you know before making that life-changing leap? Because sometimes, even in the land of maple leaves and opportunity, the dream comes with a cost. Job market realities. One of the first shocks for many newcomers to Canada is the job market. Most immigrants arrive with strong qualifications, years of professional experience, and high hopes of quickly landing a job in their field. The reality, however, is often far more complicated. A phrase they quickly learn and dread is Canadian experience required. It's a catch-22. Employers want local experience. But how can you get that without someone first giving you a chance? This barrier leaves many highly skilled newcomers underemployed. Stories abound of engineers driving taxis, accountants working in convenience stores, and doctors taking assistant roles far below their expertise. It's not a lack of talent. It's systemic obstacles like slow credential recognition, lengthy licensing exams, and fierce competition. For instance, internationally trained doctors may wait years just to qualify for residency, forcing them to take unrelated jobs in the meantime. The emotional toll can be immense. Imagine spending decades building a respected career at home, only to start over from scratch in a new country. Many immigrants describe feeling humiliated, frustrated, and undervalued. Some regret not realizing just how tough the Canadian job market can be, especially for newcomers who lack networks and connections. While success is possible, and many do eventually break through, the path is often much longer and more difficult than expected. The cost of living shock. If the job market doesn't surprise new arrivals, the cost of living usually does. Canada is frequently ranked among the most expensive places to live, particularly in cities like Toronto and Vancouver. The housing crisis is perhaps the biggest challenge. Bidding wars, skyrocketing rents, and limited supply make finding affordable accommodation incredibly stressful. Many immigrants who dreamed of owning a house discover it's almost out of reach. But it's not just housing. Everyday expenses can feel overwhelming. Groceries, gas, utilities, and even basic services are noticeably higher than in many newcomers' home countries. A simple trip to the supermarket can be a shock when a cart of essentials costs double what it might elsewhere. Even healthcare, while publicly funded, comes with hidden costs for prescriptions, dental care, and vision. This financial strain often leads to regret. Some admit they underestimated just how expensive life in Canada would be and wish they had researched more carefully before moving. Others feel trapped, working multiple jobs just to cover rent and bills. For many, the dream of financial freedom in Canada clashes harshly with the reality of constant economic pressure. The weather reality. For outsiders, Canada's snowy winters are often romanticized. Cozy fireplaces, white landscapes, and picture-perfect holidays. But once they experience it firsthand, many immigrants realize the reality is far less magical. Winters are not just cold, they are extreme. Temperatures plunge well below freezing. Snowstorms disrupt daily life. and the simple act of shoveling a driveway becomes a dreaded chore. The harsh climate doesn't just affect comfort. It affects mood and lifestyle. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD, is common, with long months of gray skies and limited daylight, contributing to depression and fatigue. Newcomers from tropical or temperate countries especially struggle with the lack of sun and outdoor activity. Some admit that they underestimated how much weather impacts their overall happiness. While Canadians are used to adapting, layering up, driving in snow, and embracing winter sports, many immigrants find it isolating. The dream of Canada's natural beauty often collides with the reality of being stuck indoors for months, counting the days until spring. Loneliness and homesickness. Beyond jobs, money, and weather, perhaps the hardest challenge is emotional loneliness. Moving abroad means leaving behind family, friends, and the social networks that provide comfort and identity. For many immigrants, Canada feels polite on the surface, but distant underneath. Neighbors smile, coworkers are friendly, yet forming deep, meaningful friendships can be surprisingly difficult. Cultural differences often make integration harder. Social life in Canada tends to be more individualistic, compared to the close-knit, community-oriented lifestyles many newcomers are used to. This isolation becomes especially painful during holidays, birthdays, and family milestones. When distance from loved ones feels unbearable, homesickness can linger for years, creating a silent regret. The realization that starting over in a new country doesn't just cost money, it costs pieces of your identity and belonging. Culture shock and adjustment. Even though Canada is famous for its multiculturalism, adjusting to a new culture is rarely easy. Social norms, workplace dynamics, and communication styles can feel unfamiliar. Canadians often value indirect communication, personal space, and punctuality, habits that may contrast sharply with those of newcomers. Language adds another barrier. Even for fluent English speakers, accents can invite bias, and subtle differences in phrasing can lead to misunderstandings. For those still learning the language, the challenge is even greater. This cultural adjustment often leaves newcomers feeling like outsiders. Even after years of living in Canada, the promise of diversity is real. But integration takes time, patience, and often painful trial and error. For many, this is one of the most unexpected sources of regret, not realizing how deeply cultural shock can shape their immigrant experience. Immigration system and bureaucracy. Another major source of regret for many newcomers isn't just life after arrival, it's the journey to get there. Canada's immigration system is widely admired for being open and structured, but the reality on the ground can feel long, stressful, and exhausting. The process is expensive, requiring language tests, credential evaluations, proof of funds, and endless paperwork. Permanent residency, for example, can take years. Many families live in limbo while waiting for approvals, constantly checking online portals and fearing rejections due to small errors. For temporary visa holders, students, workers, caregivers, the sense of uncertainty is even greater. They may spend years studying or working, but until their PR is approved, they feel stuck between belonging and being a guest. There are countless stories of applications delayed for months or years, documents being lost, or sudden policy changes forcing people to restart. The emotional toll is heavy. People put their lives on hold, delaying marriage, buying a home, or starting families while waiting for decisions. For many, the regret isn't about choosing Canada. It's about underestimating how draining the bureaucracy would be. The dream of immigration comes with a hidden price: patience, resilience, and the constant stress of navigating a system that doesn't always feel welcoming. Family and generational challenges. Immigration doesn't just affect individuals, it reshapes entire families. For parents, the biggest sacrifice often comes in their careers. Skilled professionals may find themselves starting over in survival jobs, while their children adapt quickly to Canadian schools, language, and culture. This creates a subtle but powerful role reversal. Children become cultural guides, while parents struggle to catch up. For some, this dynamic creates tension, frustration, and regret. Another challenge is separation from elderly parents left behind. Many immigrants wish they could bring their aging parents with them, but visa restrictions and financial realities often make that impossible. The guilt of leaving parents alone in their later years is a heavy emotional burden. Even within Canada, raising children without extended family support can feel isolating. Back home, grandparents, uncles, and cousins often helped raise children. In Canada, nuclear families must manage everything alone, from childcare to cultural traditions, while juggling work and survival. Some parents admit they regret uprooting their families altogether, questioning whether the sacrifices were worth it. While children may thrive in the long run, the short-term struggles can test even the strongest families. The myth versus the reality of the Canadian dream. Perhaps the biggest regret of all comes from expectations. For decades, Canada has been marketed, often unintentionally, as a land of opportunity, safety, and equality. Many immigrants arrive believing that simply landing in Canada will solve their problems, provide instant stability, and guarantee success. The reality, of course, is more complicated. Life in Canada does offer incredible opportunities: world-class education, universal healthcare, safety, and diversity. But it doesn't come automatically. The dream of instant success collides with the reality of hard work, slow progress, and setbacks. Many newcomers find themselves disappointed not because Canada failed them, but because they overestimated how quickly life would improve. This gap between myth and reality is painful. It creates disillusionment, especially in the first few years. Some wonder if they made the right choice, while others wish they had prepared themselves better. Over time, many adjust, accept the trade-offs, and build fulfilling lives. But those early years of disappointment leave deep marks. The truth is this: Canada is not paradise. It is a country like any other, with strengths and flaws. For immigrants, success requires patience, adaptability, and a willingness to rebuild life from the ground up. Regret often comes from forgetting that immigration is not the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. Lessons from regret. Regret is a powerful teacher. For immigrants in Canada, it doesn't always mean failure. It often means growth. The stories of disappointment, frustration, and unexpected hardship reveal truths that are rarely discussed in glossy brochures or immigration seminars. They show us that the journey to a new country is not just physical, but emotional, psychological, and deeply personal. One of the clearest lessons is the importance of preparation. Many newcomers say they wish they had done more research, not just about visas and paperwork, but about the realities of daily life. They wish they had understood how competitive the job market can be, how expensive housing is, and how isolating the winters feel. They wish they had saved more money, built stronger networks, and mentally prepared for the emotional toll of starting over. Another lesson is about expectations. The myth of the Canadian dream, that success, safety, and happiness will come quickly and easily, often sets people up for disappointment. Canada does offer incredible opportunities, but they come with trade-offs. The first few years can be especially tough. Underemployment, loneliness, cultural adjustment, and financial pressure. Many immigrants say they weren't prepared for how long it would take to feel settled, secure, and truly at home. Yet regret also reveals resilience. Despite the struggles, many immigrants push through. They learn new skills, adapt to new norms, and slowly build lives of meaning and stability. Their regrets become wisdom, not just for themselves, but for others who follow. They become mentors, advocates, and storytellers, helping future immigrants avoid the same pitfalls. There's also a deeper truth. Immigration is not just about opportunity. It's about transformation. You don't just change your address. You change your identity, your relationships, your sense of belonging. That process is messy, painful, and beautiful. Regret is part of it, but so is growth, pride, and eventual joy. The broader message is this: Canada is not a perfect destination, but it can be a powerful one. For those who prepare wisely, manage expectations, and embrace the long road ahead, it offers a chance to rebuild, reimagine, and rise. Regret doesn't mean you chose wrong. It means you're learning what it truly takes to make a new life. The Canadian dream is real, but it's not simple. For millions of immigrants, Canada represents hope, a place to escape instability, pursue education, raise families, and build a better future. But as we've seen, the journey is rarely smooth. Behind every success story are years of sacrifice, setbacks, and silent struggles. We've explored the realities that many newcomers face, the job market barriers that leave skilled professionals underemployed, the high cost of living that strains even the most careful budgets, the brutal winters that test emotional endurance, and the loneliness that comes from leaving behind everything familiar. We've looked at the cultural adjustments, the bureaucratic maze, and the generational tensions that reshape families in unexpected ways. And yet, through all of this, immigrants continue to persevere. They work hard, adapt, and slowly carve out space for themselves in a new land. Their stories are not just about regret, they're about resilience. They remind us that immigration is not a shortcut to success, but a long, winding road that demands courage, patience, and grit. So what does this mean for those considering the move? It means being honest with yourself. It means asking hard questions. Are you prepared to start over? Do you understand the financial, emotional, and cultural costs? Have you built a support system, researched your field, and set realistic expectations? It also means listening to those who've walked the path before you. Their regrets are not warnings to stay away. They're invitations to prepare better. Their lessons can help you avoid common pitfalls, make smarter choices, and navigate the journey with more clarity and confidence. If you're already in Canada and struggling, know this: you're not alone. Thousands of others have felt what you're feeling, and many have come out stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled. Reach out, share your story, and find community, because healing and growth often begin with connection. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you faced regrets in your immigration journey? What lessons have you learned? What advice would you give to someone considering the move? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your experience could be the insight someone else needs. And if this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others navigating the immigrant experience. Because the Canadian dream isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. And that's a story worth telling.